Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Caring Counts episode. We're super excited. It's another gorgeous Wednesday here in Colorado. Just snow on the ground in September. Gotta love it. With these Caring Counts, we are excited to connect people in memory care. That's our goal. Because the more connections you have, the more support you have. As always, Caring Counts is brought to you by Applewood Our House. Well, today we have Amy Herrick from Care Patrol. Amy, thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me, Taylor.
Absolutely, absolutely. We're happy you're here. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure, be happy to. I've actually been in the senior industry for 26 years. I managed assisted livings and memory cares for 20 years, and I'm starting my 6th year with Care Patrol, placing seniors into memory cares and assisted living.
Okay, great. So lots of experience. Love that.
Lots of experience, yes, lots of experience.
Great. And what is Care Patrol? Let's jump right in. What is that? If I have never heard of that before, what do I need to know?
Yeah, I'd love to explain it to you. Basically, we are a senior placement service. What we do is we help families find assisted living, independent living, memory care, and even home care for their loved ones when they need it. To provide the safest options for our clients, we always stay on top of the history of care violations of every community that we tour, and that is one thing we do. We tour with our residents. Even during COVID, we're doing the virtual tours with our residents. And in non-COVID times, we actually would pick them up and take them and would physically tour with them, because most of the time when we're working with our residents, they don't even know the questions to ask. And so we're there to help ask the questions that they need the answers to, but they just don't even know that they need those answers. And then the best thing is we are a totally free service. So the way we get paid is if one of our clients that we are working with, that we refer to a community, moves into that community, then that community pays us a contracted fee. So we do a lot of education with our residents and our clients and their families, and they don't pay us for any of it.
It sounds like Care Patrol is very much a local placement service. It sounds like you know the communities around here in Colorado very well. Is that the case?
That is the case. Actually, Care Patrol is the oldest and the largest senior placement service in the United States. I just yesterday was talking with one of our Care Patrol agents in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, because I have a client that is, the kids live here, but the dad lives there. And so we're going to place him up there. But we are the oldest and the largest. But here locally, we actually have 4 Care Patrol agents. Well, I shouldn't say agents, but companies that cover all of Colorado. Our particular area basically goes from I-70, the Wyoming border. And then there's another one that covers all of Denver Metro and going east and west. And then there's another one that covers the Castle Rocks, Highland Ranch, Parker area. And then another one that covers Colorado Springs and Pueblo. So we have the entire state covered.
Great. And you mentioned the cost. Let's back up a little bit. If I'm someone that needs, maybe I don't even know about a placement agent. I don't know what that is. When do I need to start going, okay, do I need a placement agent? I need to start looking at assisted living. How do I find you? And I guess, how do I know I need to find you? Does that make sense?
It does. And it's interesting that you asked that, Taylor, because actually I didn't even know these people, senior placement services existed up until probably, I'm going to say 8 or 9 years ago. And I had been in the industry for 20 years. But there are over 400 assisted livings in the Denver metro area. We're not even talking northern Colorado. We're just talking Denver metro. And we are the experts on those communities. We know what kind of, and we've been in all of them. That's one thing. When anybody first comes on with Care Patrol, they literally spend the first 2 months just going from community to community to learn about it, because every community has a different feel about itself. And we need to understand what that feel is, what kind of client they're looking for, and what kind of client, or resident they'll accept, and what their terms are. Because even though assisted living is regulated, there still is a lot of leeway, because you will find some that will accept Medicaid, some will not. Some will do a one-person transfer, some won't do any transfer, some will do a two-person transfers. So those are the nuances that we know about each community, and it goes into much more greater depth than just that, but that gives you an example.
Yeah, I kind of equate that to, and please tell me if I'm off base, but I went with my realtor when I was buying a house to look at some model homes in a new community. And I think I walked through one of the model homes with the seller, the builder, and my real estate agent. And my real estate agent asked all of the questions that I didn't even know I should be asking. Is that something kind of similar to
It's
the experience?
very similar to that. In fact, we tell people, I'm telling people all the time, we are like a realtor that specializes for seniors to take them to communities. Exactly. Yeah. Because
Awesome.
there's just so much to know that you wouldn't even think to ask. I think one of the things that break my heart the most is when we get a client that has, the family did not know to use us, and they move them in because the family's all enthralled with all the bells and whistles at a community, and they go in there, and 4 years later the people are, they've used up all their money, and they just assume that if you go in there and use up all your money, that somehow somebody's going to pay for it, and usually they expect the government to do that, and the government doesn't do that. And, Medicare and Medicaid don't just come in like that. So we really, a huge part of our job is vetting our clients to find out what their financials look like, and educating them on the best places to go based upon basically three things. What kind of care does the resident need? What geographical location do they want to be in? And three, what are their finances?
Yeah, I'm going to get into the finance conversation here in just a few minutes with you, because I think that is a very important part. Before we do that, a question I would like to pose to you is, when I go on Google and I search for senior placement service, a lot of the times a place for mom and caring.com, they pop up. How are you different from those two services?
That's an excellent question, Taylor. They are an internet-based service only, meaning that they do not have, most of them do not have local people that have been into the community. So one complaint or concern that I hear often, very often, is a community in Brighton, and for those people that are local will understand this, are getting referrals for people in Highlands Ranch. And if you go into one of the internet-based services like that, you could get somebody in Minnesota who's answering the phone, and they say, oh, you want to be in Denver? Well, okay, we'll send these out. And so they send out all these referrals to the communities as well as to the client. And the person in Brighton knows good and well the person lives in Highlands Ranch. They don't want to be in Brighton. So that's a huge difference, is that they don't understand, number one, the geographical location of Denver, and they have not physically been in these places. And they don't know if they will accept Medicaid or not. Because when they're signing up for that, they don't know that they're going to need to be on Medicaid in 3 or 4 years, because they don't understand how it plays in. They just assume that the government's going to take care of them when they run out of money, and that just doesn't exist.
Right. So let's jump into that. I guess one more question before we do that.
You bet.
What is the difference between independent living, assisted living, skilled nursing? There's a lot of different options out there. Where does memory care fit into this, and how do I know which one I need to go to?
That is an excellent question. And there are several different aspects of each one of those. Like in independent living, you have your 55 retirement plus retirement centers, where you have to be 55 years of age. Usually they do not serve meals there, but it's like an apartment type complex, may have an underground parking. They may have social activities for the residents, but they don't serve meals. Then you have some retirement communities or independent communities that will serve meals, will actually have a third-party home caregiving company on site, that if you need scheduled care, they can do that for an additional charge. So it's knowing those differences like that. That's independent. When you get into assisted living, usually you're going to need some help with one of what they call ADLs, or activities of daily living. So that's either you may need help showering, you may need help transferring from getting out of bed or getting out of a chair. You may need help getting dressed. And the degree that you need that can vary from, I just may need a button done, to where I actually need, because I've had a shoulder injury, I may need somebody to actually help me put a shirt on, okay? But in assisted living, they will assist you with that kind of care. In a skilled nursing facility, they are going to have a doctor and nurses on site 24/7. And usually you would go into a skilled nursing if you have some kind of medical procedure that needs to be done on a regular basis, such as maybe you have a G tube for feeding, and you need to be fed that way. That wouldn't fly at an assisted living, but you could do that at skilled nursing. Most people are very surprised how much care some skilled nurse or some assisted livings will actually do. Where memory care comes in is the memory care can be licensed under assisted living, or it can be licensed under skilled nursing. So first of all, you have to understand the community and what their licensing allows. But please understand that I would say 50 to 65% of the people that live in any given assisted living have some form of dementia, if for nothing other than their age, okay? And they may not have a formal diagnosis of dementia, but yeah, they don't remember where they put their keys, or they're not quite sure how to use the remote, for the TV and that kind of thing. But that doesn't mean you need memory care. Memory care usually means that it is a secured facility, meaning that you cannot leave it. In an assisted living, you can come and go as you please. They just ask you to sign out when you leave and sign in when you come back in. In a memory care, you can't do that. So you would need a memory care if your loved one is a flight risk, meaning that if they were to walk out that front door, they wouldn't understand to get back in, you need to go back in that door. Or they may try to escape and go to their home because they know this is not their home. So, they need to leave this place to go to their home. Under those circumstances, you're going to need a memory care. Does that help you?
It does. It does. I think what I'm gathering from this is there's a lot of options out there. And what if I had a loved one that's just been diagnosed with Alzheimer's or dementia or needs some sort of care? I need to start asking around and learning more as much as I can around what type of care facility or community my loved one or myself needs. And that's whether that's calling the community themselves and saying, I have these needs, can you point me in the right direction? And I think anyone in this industry would say, yep, here's the person you're going to need to call. Or calling someone like you, a placement service, and really having my options completely go on. You can help me cover my options, if that makes sense.
Exactly. And that's what I referred to earlier, is a lot of what we do is education, because so many of our clients think because their loved one now has a diagnosis of Alzheimer's or vascular dementia or one of those, they automatically have to go to memory care. And that's not the case. It just isn't. And we, out of the 400 plus assisted livings, we probably have contracts with 90 to 95% of them. So we are not representing any one community. We represent the whole gamut. And we know what each community will do. Like we know Applewood, our house, very, very well. I've known them for years, and we know exactly what kind of clients, that they specialize in. And we are so grateful. I'm just going to say it right now. We are so grateful to Applewood, our house, because they handle a niche of clients that very few memory cares handle. And we have placed many, many people at Applewood, our houses, and are just so grateful that you guys do exist.
Well, thank you. Thank you for that. And we're excited that you exist too, because having someone that has your back, I want to really emphasize the education piece that you're talking about with this. It's a piece of education. There's no really financial, you're not representing just one assisted living or
Right.
Or community. You, for that matter, you're representing everyone, and you want what's best for the person that needs placement. In that vein, I wanted to also say, if you have a question that you would like to pose to Amy in the comments, please feel free to do so. We would love to take your questions live. That's why we have Amy here. If you have any burning questions, go ahead and post them in the comments. Amy, I'm going to jump into, let's talk about, and this is a big question, and I don't think we have time to cover everything today, but let's see how far we get.
Okay.
So my big question for you is, how in the world do I pay for senior care, and how did that journey start?
That is an excellent question. And I'll kind of take it by levels. So independent is paid privately. So if you're looking at a 55 plus retirement community or an independent community, that is private pay. There's usually not other funds out there to help you pay for that. So that means that's going to come out of your bank account, out of your savings. Maybe you just sold your house to move into that. It's going to come out of that money. As far as assisted living goes, there's basically 4 ways to pay for assisted living, is through private funds, just like that. There are long-term care insurance policies. So if your loved one has one of those, that will help pay for it as long as you are receiving help with 1 or 2 activities of daily living. So long-term care insurance policies, private pay. There is the VA aid and attendance, which is available to veterans and spouses of veterans and it's according to the dates that they served. It has nothing to do with any kind of disability or anything like that. They basically had to serve 1 day during set time periods. They had to have an honorable discharge. And then that's the third way. And then the fourth way is through Medicaid. So those are the 4 ways that you pay for assisted living. When it comes to skilled nursing, it's going to be private pay or Medicaid.
Okay. And so that's another piece of education that you help your clients with. Is that correct?
We do. Basically, Taylor, when we get a call, let me just kind of paint a picture of what that looks like. We get a call, and we get calls from clients, we get calls from hospitals, a lot from rehabs, a lot from doctors' offices that say this person needs to now move to, assisted living. I'm going to use that for example. What we do is we sit down with that client, usually over the phone. Sometimes we will have face-to-face meetings with them. We try to do that. COVID times, that's not worked out. So we do it more over the phone. And we have a care assessment that we go through with them to find out what their care needs are. In the 20 years I've done, caring, I've probably done thousands of these assessments. And so we do this care assessment. Then, like I said, we vet and find out what their finances are, and then we find out what geographical area they want to be in. Based upon all that information, then we will come up with the top 3 or 4 communities, whether that be a residential assisted living or a large community or a mid-sized community. And we get what they would want on that as well. We kind of explain the differences of what that looks like and how they operate. And fortunately, I've operated all 3 of those, so I can really speak to that firsthand. And we explain that to them, and then we will come up with 3 or 4 communities. We will tour them at each community and then help them, just go back and forth over the pros and cons of each one and help them come to a decision. But they make that decision. And it's not a lengthy process. I mean, if we have a week to work with, we're sitting fine. We do emergency placements right out of hospitals that take 4 hours. And there are certain assisted livings that will do that. And there are those that won't. So the hospitals call us on a regular basis and say, okay, we've got a client that typical scenario, they fell, they broke their hip. They've gone in, they've had hip surgery. They're now gone to the rehab, and the rehab calls us and says, we're going to discharge this person in 72 hours, but they can't go home because they have steps in their house. And all their living is on the bottom level, but their bedrooms are on the second level. So they cannot go, we cannot safely discharge them back to their house. Would you please work with this client to help them find an assisted living to move into? And a good part of our business is that type of business. And so we can make that happen in 72 hours. We also know that we can appeal that. If we just really feel that they're not ready to move on, we'll encourage the family to appeal that decision, but we'll explain the pros and cons of the appeal situation as well.
It's really exciting to talk about this industry and the business of things being a team, between the hospitals, the rehabs, the placement people like us at Applewood Our House. It's really a team here. And when you do call in somewhere, whether that be to Amy or to us or wherever, we'll point you in the right direction based on your needs. And it's that education piece. And I'm so happy that's kind of the overarching theme for this episode of Our Caring Counts, because education is so important, and it's how you're better prepared to make these decisions for the future.
You're absolutely right. And, a lot of the referrals we too also get is from assisted livings that now have a resident that has wandered out, or is, the dementia has increased so much that they can no longer handle them. And they'll call us and say, would you work with this family to help them find because they have to, according to Colorado regs, give them a 30-day notice to move. And so we know we've got 30 days to work with them and get them into a community where they'll be safe and secure.
That's great. So to bring this kind of full circle, I have one more question for Amy. I wanted to give our viewers another chance to ask us any questions live in the comments. If you have any questions you wanted to pose, please do so. We're getting close to our time here. But the last question I have for you, Amy, is you talked a little bit about Medicare and Medicaid. What are those and what do they pay for? And how does that
Excellent question. I wish they would have named these a little different because they get very, very confusing. Medicare is basically health insurance for people that are 65 or older, or if you're younger, for disability. Okay, that's Medicare. Think of care. Medicare is health care. It's like your insurance. Medicaid is aid, CAID for aid, okay, for low income people. And it is just assumed by so many that one of those will pick up. Well, they don't. Medicare does not come into play in paying for any room and board or meals and rent in assisted living or in skilled nursing or in memory care, okay? Medicare is health insurance. It will pick up if you have somebody that's in a skilled nursing that's in the rehab side of the skilled nursing. Beforehand, we used to have rehabs that were always in skilled nursing. Now we have standalone rehabs. And it'll help pay for their rehab, but it won't pay for their room and board. Now, for the first 20 days, once they get in there, it will pay for everything. But after that 20-day period, it doesn't. It doesn't pay for that anymore. And then Medicaid is out of the 400 plus assisted livings in the Denver metro area, only about 30% accept Medicaid. And out of those 30% that do accept Medicaid, 80% of that 30% require that you come in on what they call a spin down, meaning they say, yes, you can move to our community, but you have to private pay the market rate for the first 2 years. And then after that, we'll let you convert to Medicaid. So we educate our people. You don't want to spend all your money in home care coming into your house and then go directly into a Medicaid community because they're just not that nice. They can't afford to be ones that live strictly off Medicaid because the reimbursement rate is too low to make ends meet. And so when you get into these communities, it is the private pay that a lot of time is carrying the Medicaid. And a lot of times communities will say, we'll allow 10% or 20% of our beds to be Medicaid, but no more than that. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. What I'm hearing from you is it's very, very personalized to the person that's looking for a community, and it's that education piece again to bring it back. You educate yourself on their needs, and you're helping educate them on what's gonna be the best fit for them, both comfort, care, safety, and financially.
Exactly. Yeah.
Amy, thank you for your time today. We really appreciate you jumping on our Caring Counts Live series. We so appreciate it.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you giving me the chance. Thank you.
Absolutely. Amy, hang out for just a second. I wanted to remind everyone we have our annual Caring Counts event coming up. It's going to be in October. This year's event is totally complimentary and it's all online. It's going to be 7 days, so Monday through Friday at 12 p.m., starting on October 12th. So October 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th, and 16th at 12 p.m. for this complimentary event. It's a Caring Counts Alzheimer's and Dementia Conference. You can register via our Facebook page. We have an event on Facebook, or you can go to our website, and I'll post that website here in the comments as soon as we're done with this live. Amy, Thank you again. We really appreciate it. Everyone, we'll see you in 2 Wednesdays. We're going live every other Wednesday. We're super excited about this series. We hope you are too, and we'll see you then.
Thank you.
Thanks.